Hello there, welcome to Dan's Little Thing. I'm your host, Danielisweird, and this is the show we talk about some of the things happening in the world, happening in the media right now. Maybe you get a millennial's take on the matter and crack some jokes along the way. To get right into it, we're going to kick things off by talking New York Comic Con entertainment news. New York Comic Con, in fact, voted best Comic Con by the people of New York. Many things were revealed at New York Comic Con, including the darker, grittier, more teen angsty reboot of the worldwide phenomenon that is Power Rangers, which seems to be the trend. Take a cool 80s, 90s kids show and make it something darker, modern, and much worse. It just seems to me this new movie would benefit from remembering where Power Rangers came from.
Time to conquer Earth!
Alpha, Rita's escape. Recruit a team of teenagers with attitudes.
Moving on to something that literally everyone should be afraid of. All over the US and Australia, there's been sightings of clowns within neighborhoods, parks, birthday parties, although admittedly the clowns in birthday parties were hired to be there. I don't know why anyone would hire a clown for a birthday party. It's beyond me. But the clowns at parks and on streets are harassing people, and not in the typical stop being a clown, it's not funny way of harassing people as a clown, but in the chasing people with weapons and terrifying them way. I don't know why this is a thing. There's nothing funny about it, and people have been hurt. A kid in Pennsylvania was 16, and he was stabbed to death by a person wearing one of these clown masks. And as much as that sucks, it now becomes a double issue, because people wearing these clown masks and costumes as a joke are in danger of being shot or stabbed themselves. It's a ridiculous trend, and I didn't think I would ever say this, but I want to go back to 2015. It was a bad year, but it wasn't this year. This year's been horrible. Speaking of clowns terrorizing the public, we're going to talk about the US 2016 election. At this point, it seems Hillary Clinton's success is pretty much a surefire thing. The election at this point is looking kind of like when a fat kid gets into interstate cross-country. He can try and win if he wants, but everyone sort of knows he's just going to end up disappointed and with a bright red face. But after Trump's debate performance, in which he seemed to think he was at the Comedy Central roast of Bill and Hillary Clinton, he has taken a dip in the polls to 11 points behind, with Clinton seemingly doing much better in swing states, which, for those of you who don't know, are the all-important slices of the pie. Trump's collapse seems to mainly be because he doesn't have a good relationship with anyone who's not a straight, white male in the demographics. And he doesn't even seem to have that demographic on lock, and he's definitely not a hit with any of the others. And all this comes after a recent 538 study that shows that if only women voted for Hillary Clinton, she would win the election by a landslide, and if only men voted for the election, Trump would win, which I think must be a miscalculation in the study. But unfortunately, this has led many Trump supporters to say to start using the hashtag repeal the 19th, which is in reference to the 19th Amendment, which gave the women the right to vote, with even one female Trump supporter saying she would give up her vote if it meant Trump would be elected president. He continually proves himself to be perverted, misogynistic, and predatory. And while this works for some...
You know what? So what if he wants to grab pussy? I want to grab pussy. I wish I could grab as much pussy as he is.
I got news for you. I asked a lot of women here, and half of them would love to have their pussy snatched by Trump. One man's sexual assault is another man's flirtation.
Most others, not so much. Now, people try to defend his actions by saying that what he said in release videos was locker room talk, and that he's grown since then, which is actually fair enough, because if you think about it, the locker rooms that Trump hangs out in would be with people like Roger Ailes, the recently fired Fox CEO and alleged sexual assaulter. But jokes aside, Trump said terrible things about women at an age older than Obama is now. If Obama couldn't get away with saying any of that now, how can he be seen as someone who's grown since that? Growth isn't something that's meant to happen at Trump's age, unless you're talking about prostate cancer or dementia, which in Trump's case is actually a possibility. And to add to the situation, Peter Thiel, a billionaire who is the co-founder of PayPal and board member on Facebook, just recently endorsed Trump, pledging to donate $1.25 million to his campaign, which could actually damage the campaign more than add to it, because Peter Thiel was put on record as publishing an essay in 2009 saying that democracy actually was negatively affected by women getting the right to vote with the 19th Amendment. All in all, it seems likely that Hillary Clinton will win the election with an 89% chance of winning, according to the New York Times, which in itself will certainly be interesting and not particularly for good reason. Moving things down under, we're going to talk about the plebiscite, or lack thereof, happening here in Australia. As last Tuesday, the Labor Party officially announced their stance on the plebiscite, blocking it in Parliament. For those who don't know, the plebiscite is pretty much a $160 million non-legally binding national poll to gauge public opinion on whether same-sex marriage should be legal or not. On top of the $160 million, $7.5 million would go to both yes and no campaigns. So it's essentially a potentially damaging, really expensive, but official version of polls we've already done before. That doesn't actually change anything. Now, for weeks, many mental health advocates and organizations have been saying that a poll like this could potentially give a legal platform for bigotry and homophobia, pointing to Ireland's referendum last year and how that had an incredibly negative impact on not just gay people, but single parents and adoptive parents. But the problem with the situation is that marriage equality is now a legal right in Ireland, and it's still not in Australia. Now, many people have said and pointed out that holding a free conscience vote in Parliament is the best way to go. It's where politicians get to vote freely for their conscience, regardless of their party's affiliations or beliefs. A free vote, if happened, would actually lead to change and would cost nothing, making it the ideal way to resolve the issue. This is actually the end goal for the situation, but the party running Australia right now, the Liberal Party, despite the poor choice in name, has a very conservative voter base, which means they can't just vote yes unless they're essentially forced to by public opinion, and they don't necessarily want to vote yes either. Essentially, the problem is the current party running Australia won't allow a vote on same-sex marriage unless they feel bound to by public opinion, and they won't recognise the public opinion unless they have to because of a plebiscite that officially tells them it's there. But the Labor Party won't put the LGBT community through that type of mental strain because of the negativity of a campaign such as this, which ultimately is an incredibly grey situation. And unfortunately, it means that whilst the LGBT community might have reached a short-term victory in that they don't have to deal with the plebiscite, they might still have a very long-term battle ahead in getting marriage equality for Australia. Now, to end things on a sweet note, we're going to finish things off today by talking about this 102-year-old woman, Edie Sims, who just wanted to get arrested so she could cross it off her bucket list before she died. It's incredibly sweet, and take a watch.
Getting hauled off to jail. That's what Edie Sims decided she wanted to do this weekend in St. Louis. The 102-year-old had never been in the back of a police car before, so she called it a favor, and the local police delivered, even putting her in handcuffs for the ride.
Keep going. Don't ever stop, whatever it is you're doing. And spend some time doing community service, because sometimes the people that you reach out and touch is the only person that they will talk to in a day.
Sims is well known in the community for giving back. Last year, get this, she sewed more than 400 items for other people living at her senior center.
Thank you for watching. This has been Dan's Little Thing. I'm your host, Danielisweird, and I'll see you next time.